Hi, my name is Arthur Fleming. Civil Rights Today presents. Today we're presenting the Pan-African Connection. And with me is?
Akwete Tayamba.
All right. Equate Tayamba. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, and you?
I'm doing great. Hey, you know what? I've always admired what you're doing here. You're an asset to the community. And so, before we talk about that, I want you to tell us a little bit about Equate. Just about where you're from, how'd you come to be in this space, and so forth.
Sure. And let me just say that I'm really thankful to be here and maybe share with you, Brother Fleming. And I've always admired your work in the community also, and so I know it ain't been. It's, as you know, it can be challenging at times to organize and make sure you lift your people up, but it's worth it, right? So organizing can be the most difficult work,
Right.
but it is definitely the most rewarding in the long term for our people. So thank you. Let me tell you a little bit about moi. Of course, I was born in Waco, Texas,
Okay.
right up the road, and to a family of 10 children. And my parents were very hardworking people. My mother just passed last year, 97 years
My
old.
condolences.
And my father passed 1999. But they were two very hardworking parents who raised 10 children. And, with very core Christian values, just treat other people like you want to be treated. And, you had to learn the Lord's Prayer and all that good stuff. But we were raised, to understand where we come from. And they definitely told us about our history and all of it. They didn't try to hide the ugly parts of the history, because those are the things that were going to keep us safe. For instance, my mother and them, they would tell us about very tragic situations of people being lynched, people's ears being nailed to a tree, just things that we knew what we were dealing with. And we had to know that this is a system where everybody don't love you. You can't walk around in La La Land thinking that everybody loves you.
Right.
So, and you have to know how to adapt in this, this environment. But you definitely have to know who you are and stand up for what's right. So, we were a family that was raised in the church, and a lot of those values are in turn our traditional African values and principles. So that's a little bit about me.
Would you say your parents were Pan-Africanists, or would you say they were?
At that point, they did not know what they were. They did not use these terms that we use today.
Right.
But they understood that they were African people, and that Africa was their point of origin. Africa is where their ancestors were from. And, all they had to do was, look in the mirror for one thing. They were not in denial or ashamed of their ancestry, being descendants of African people. And, as a lot of our people talk about also, because a lot of our people, like my mother used to say, well, my great-great-grandmother had some Indian blood in her. Well, coming to this country, of course, and being enslaved and out from slavery, a lot of the indigenous people sheltered us. We married among them. So we have that close connection also with indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere. So, but primarily, even with that little drops here and there, they knew who they were, and they knew that Africa was their point of origin. So,
well, what about your educational background? Just a little bit about that.
Well, I of course, left Waco, and went to community college there for 2 years, then transferred to University of North Texas.
Okay.
At that time, it was North Texas State University.
Right. Back in time.
So then just kind of stayed around in Dallas, met my husband, my late husband, Brother Bandeli Tahimba, I was taking some classes at North Lake College campus, met him. He was passing out literature for an organization called All African People's Revolutionary Party, which was definitely a Pan-African organization, where Kwame Ture, many of you may know him as Stokely Carmichael, was one of the leading organizers. So I didn't know nothing about none of that, right? I was this little bourgeois sister from Waco, Texas, who just wanted to get a job and be a part of the status quo, which is what we were trained to do, you know, to assimilate into this system and just be safe. But joining the Black Student Organization on that college campus changed my whole life, my whole thinking, that I had a higher responsibility, you know, historical responsibility to try to liberate our people and change the conditions that we found ourselves in. So
okay. So you met him, and then you got into the Pan-African mindset. So how did the Pan-African connection come about?
This was actually the vision of Bandeli, who was really a very principled person, and we had study groups, and he had been a member of this Pan-African organization, and he actually lived it to the T. Some people just kind of in the organization, they study, they talk, you know, all this revolutionary talk, but no, this brother was he's very serious and very committed, and he lived this ideology, lived this idea of a system void of any exploitation of any man or woman, right? So it was really his vision, because he was born in Cleveland, Ohio. So, and up East Coast in different areas, you have black bookstores, right? And so being a part of the Pan-African, All African People's Revolutionary Party, and also traveling around, it inspired him. He saw that black bookstores were places where people came to organize and strategize. And even at one point, there was the FBI and the CIA really targeted black bookstores because of the work and organizing that would take place in these types of institutions. So these were institutions where people came to get knowledge and information about themselves, to change the ideas from negative to positive, because we've been taught to hate ourselves. So, of course, Black Images was the first black bookstore in Dallas, Texas, which was a model for other people to say, well, we can do this. You know, Emma can do it, we can do it, and we all work collectively. We were definitely different in our objectives. But we all knew that bookstores were a place that people could come and organize and change the ideas and get people moving into a certain direction.
You mentioned the FBI, CIA, so forth, coming to our community, our bookstores, checking people out. What type of difficulties did you all run into as far as putting, this space together?
You know what? For us, we were, we started out in Lancaster Key Shopping Center, actually, our first, in 1989, and so we were there for 6 months. We moved to Beckley and Jefferson, right across from, at that time, it was Bank of America on that corner. So, and we painted all of these wonderful quotes in the windows by Marcus Garvey and Kwame Nkrumah, and cars would almost get into accidents just passing by, reading the signs, right? Because we were right on that corner. So it was a very, I think it was a very revolutionary thing to do in Dallas, to create an institution with this big sign that said Pan-African Connection. It definitely told who you were. You weren't trying to, make it palatable to, different people. You came out letting people know who you were. So that was a statement of showing that we are, of identity, really, telling who we were.
What about pushback? Did you get any pushback when you all were
you always get pushback, not only, from a certain class of African people, but from white folks, right, who would call you and say, why are y'all having that Marcus Garvey program? He was this, he was that. As if we cannot choose our own heroes and sheroes. So we would hang up on them. Or, and sometimes we would have people would break our windows, right? Then the police would come in, because at one point we lived above our business, and so the police would come in after you call them, and they didn't care if somebody broke your window. And they would be at one time the police came in, I was there alone after somebody broke the window in the middle of the night, and So he was going through our clothes. He would see. He said, "Oh, you got Malcolm. Malcolm X T-shirts. Oh, who is this character? Or you know, they would be making fun or joking, making jokes, and really, just trying to really intimidate me or frighten me in a sense because I was here alone. So we did have some incidents that were frightening, but we were in our community, so we just stayed and dealt with it.
Well, I tell you, we're definitely glad that you stayed and that you're still here. Well, what about currently? Is there any pushback currently, or has that subsided, or how's that one?
You will in America. You will always have racism, right? You'll always have that privileged class of folks who don't want you here, and it's okay. Even some of our own people, you'll have that class of people who wish that we were not so vocal in our Pan-African ideology, right? Or that we were a little bit more status quo. So you have, some people love you and some people don't.
Would you say it's less, it's more than back? Is it less?
I would say it is definitely less, but it is
Okay,
definitely still
okay,
there.
okay. Well, good. Tell us about, so what's the goal of the venue? What's the main goal that you're...
Of course, my late husband's goal was a little bit stronger than mine. I'm not him, and he ain't here. He left me here, so I said I have to do what I do. But initially, it was definitely a space, an institution where people would come together, able to, learn more about Mother Africa, more about themselves, more about humanity, but definitely to come and get closer to Mother Africa and to learn about what's going on in Africa, learn about imperialism, learn about socialism, learn about liberation struggles in Africa and how they got themselves out of those situations, and so we can learn how we can get ourselves out of a certain level of oppression here in this country. So knowing that we're all one as African people, we all suffer from the same problems, no matter where we are around the world. We're facing the same enemy and we're suffering from the same problems. So.
Well, Christian, I'm a little bit familiar with the shop. Well, what about African Americans with children? Well, what type of, because you want to learn these things, what do you have here in the shop that was
For the last 34 years, going on 35 years now, we have, focused on the community as a whole, and primarily children. Well, we've done a lot of programs. We do a lot of programs for children because children need to know, that they came from greatness, right? They need to know they've done great things in the past. So they know they can do them today.
Right.
So we focus on the community, families as a whole. We focus on the education, Black history, culture, African history. We focus on the health and wellness of our people. We've had beekeeping classes. We've had health co-ops and forums. We've had, gardening, farming. We've had just all kinds of exercise classes, all kinds of speakers. We've had Spanish, Swahili classes. We've had Chinese classes for children here. We've had, a lot of STEM classes, science, math, and we've even had classes for adults, computer classes for adults in, what is that? I forget which one it was. But anyway, just thousands and thousands of programs and activities.
We're talking about those cards I saw in the front. Do you know those different learning cards that you have?
Oh, knowledge cards.
Yeah. Tell us about those knowledge cards and how the parents, how would they use those with their kids to help them learn?
Well, let's see. It's just so many things in here. I mean, I'll go there.
Yeah,
but let me just start that there's so many beautiful children's books that are here with images of Black children, telling them how beautiful their hair is, how beautiful their nose and lips are, how smart and intelligent and amazing they are. So there are so many beautiful books written today. And those knowledge cards are just there for adults and children so that you can learn, because a lot of us don't know, right? A lot of the children sometimes are teaching the parents. So, but I'm saying those are cards where you can learn about Black history, You can learn about math, science, the solar system. You can learn about all of those things. So knowledge cards are very important.
You know, one of the most heartening things I've seen today, you have outside there, you have a food, I call it outside food pantry, where you put food out where anybody in the community can come and pick it up. So how did that start, and tell us
Well, we were doing this pre-pandemic.
Okay.
So actually we started, we've had, we did it, we had what we call a food rescue. So every first Saturday this was probably about 5 years ago or more. But anyway, we've been doing it for a while, where we give out free fruits and vegetables every first Saturday of the month. And we would rescue these places, food distributors would give us food that they were going to throw away. And of course, a lot of food is good. We just have to pick through the bad and throw away and keep the good. So we started that years ago, and we just kind of, it turned one day a sister came to me and said, can I put a refrigerator out here? We have we want to call it the people's fridge. And I said, okay, I can do that. So we started out with a small refrigerator and table, and so we've been giving away, it's a 24-hour food pantry. It's really something that has us thinking outside of the box of feeding people. For me, I don't want to feed people forever, because it should be a short-term solution,
but
and not a long-term, because this system has enough money, has enough housing, has enough everything for there not to be any homeless or hungry folks, right? So I'm saying it's a temporary solution. We thought that we would end it after, at a certain point, but the need is still there. There are thousands of families that come here and give food, and the community donates the food. Even myself, I don't have to put any food out there. People come, some of the food pantries that can't give away their food, bring their food here. So we have people that come and donate food, but it's 24 hours, no questions asked. People drive up, put food, and go. And it's a cold storage fridge too, so that people can store cold food there. And we may have to end it very soon, because the new management here is wanting it to be gone. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, that's kind of unfortunate, but anyway, but it's still great work until they stop you.
Yes, sir.
Edicare, could you, I asked you to bring a piece of something to explain to us about.
You sure did.
Some of your pieces here. Do you have anything you want? I want the audience to see some of this beautiful stuff that you all have, and something.
I got plenty. I just don't want to get up and run and get it.
Well, you can just explain what you got behind us right here.
Oh, this is our. We have not taken down our Kwanzaa setup from this December. Okay. But of course, Kwanzaa is every year we do 6 days of Kwanzaa. We don't do the 7th day.
Could you explain what Kwanzaa is before you tell us about what you do?
Kwanzaa is a cultural holiday, not a religious holiday, but a cultural holiday that begins December 26th and runs through January 1st. It was created by a brother named Malana Karinga, who was a former member of the US organization, but he was involved in the Black Power movement back in the 60s and 70s. But Kwanzaa was created in 1966, and it's a holiday for us to celebrate our African history and culture. Okay. Each day you talk about a different principle that we should all collectively come together and try to, live for, which unity, self-determination, purpose, collective work and responsibility, creativity, and faith, and all of these different principles that are a part of our culture and a part of the African personality. So it's really a time for us to come together and celebrate who we are. And all over the world, people on these same days and same times are on the same wavelength, right? We're giving thanks for where we are, reflecting on where we have to go, and remembering where we've come from.
Has Kwanzaa extended globally? Is it how deep is it in the diaspora? Is it high?
It's very deep. Thousands of people all across the world, even in Africa now, are celebrating Kwanzaa. So it's grown to just it's just grown tremendously.
Do you think that Kwanzaa will be able to help or facilitate the diaspora as we collectively hook up economically, culturally, and so forth? You think?
Yeah, part of Kwanzaa's principles are cooperative economics, right? Which encourages African people to shop with other African people to support other black businesses, right? Our people to work together to create our own businesses, because it's very important to have our own businesses. There was one point throughout black business people after slavery who had their own businesses put their lives in danger because some of the white businesses felt like they were in competition and they would run you out or burn you down. So it was really, some people lost their lives just by trying to create their own business, create their own economics. So it's very important for us to encourage people to start their own businesses, young people. And a lot of young people are doing so today. So I'm very proud, very happy to see so many young businesses starting at an early age these days. So yeah, part of Kwanzaa is for us to work together to build our own economics.
Okay, this is Arthur Fleming, Civil Rights Today present. Thank you until next time. Thank you.